everyone, thanks for joining me today. Welcome to my channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you're a subscriber or returning to my channel. My name is Claire and I'm currently in my pregnancy with baby number 3, and I've just been sharing week by week my different symptoms and cravings and goals. So for this video today, I'm going to be sharing with you both my 28th and my 29th week of pregnancy. I haven't really uploaded lately, but I've just been so exhausted that I just have not had the energy to do anything extra. But I am here now, and I do hope you guys enjoy this video. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. And if you see me looking down, I'm going to be looking at my notes. So for symptoms for both my 28th and my 29th week of pregnancy, I was experiencing contractions, and I will actually give you guys an update about something else that I had go on in these past 2 weeks after I go through my symptom list. But I have definitely been getting contractions, some days more than others, but definitely daily I am experiencing contractions. I'm also continuing to lose my mucus plug. I know this is a little bit TMI, but I am pregnant and I am sharing the symptoms that I've been experiencing. So this is another symptom. I've just been noticing it just a couple times throughout the week. Nothing too much or alarming, but it is something that I've noticed. And then, like I said, when I started this video, I've been absolutely exhausted. This has been miserable. I have not had energy to really go out of my way and do much of anything in terms of getting ready or filming or editing or anything like that. So I've really just been focusing on resting when I can and just trying to get through the days. Another symptom I've been experiencing is tingling feet and legs, and this is really weird because it doesn't only happen when I'm just like sitting down and my legs are crossed, but this happens like if I just bend over, my legs and down to my feet will start tingling, but it'll be like really random times where I haven't really done anything to cause that to happen. I've also been experiencing on and off swelling. This hasn't been too bad for me, but in my other pregnancies I never had swelling, so this is definitely new for me. I've just noticed it here and there, but like I said, nothing too bad and nothing that I'm concerned about at this point. Another symptom I've been experiencing is nausea and throwing up. I have spoken with you guys about this quite a bit throughout my pregnancy, just because it's been affecting me throughout the whole time, which is also new for me because in both my other pregnancies I never had nausea and throwing up past my first trimester. So this is definitely different this pregnancy, and it's been rough. But for the most part, I'm doing pretty good. There have just been some days though where I felt so nauseous out of nowhere, and it comes and goes pretty quickly, but it will hit me and I would just feel terrible. So it's kind of hard to deal with, but like I said, it's not too frequent that it's been happening. I've also been experiencing breast and nipple tenderness. Like my nipples have been out of this world tender and sensitive, and it just like it bothers me to have anything brushed against them. Even some shirts, like if I'm not wearing a bra, it just does not feel good. I just cannot handle it. So that's just another random symptom. I don't know really what causes that at this point, but I'm sure it's just like that, my breast preparing for breastfeeding. But yeah, not all that fun. And then another symptom I've been experiencing is painful baby movements. And this is rough because I can't control how baby girl moves, so it's just kind of something that I have to deal with. I'm not sure if it's her, I don't think it's her head, but it could be her hands or her feet. She pushes down and it feels like it's pushing into my cervix. So I'll get these baby movements and they are so strong and painful that it is like gut-wrenching because she pushes down and it feels like she's trying to push out of my cervix and like through the birth canal. Like it is so painful. It's not just like a little movement or jab. It's like, I don't even know. It's just like, if you can imagine someone pushing down as hard as they could, like it feels like her water sac is gonna break. and it just feels awful. So I'll have to like lay down. I'll try to like lay down really quickly if I start experiencing that. And I've noticed that that can help a little bit. It doesn't really help completely because she's still pushing down, but I think it helps with me not standing straight up so that everything like isn't being pushed into my pelvis. It's an awful pain. And then I've also been experiencing lower back pain, and I've been having a hard time getting up, like physically getting up if I'm laying down or on the couch or anything. My lower back will hurt really bad as I'm trying to get up. And this kind of goes like throughout the day. I just start noticing more back pain and achiness, especially when I'm working and having to walk around all day. It just gets very tiring on my body. So that is another symptom in the past 2 weeks. It hasn't been like that really throughout my pregnancy. I haven't experienced back pain too badly, but I'm hoping this is not the start of something very awful, because I do still have about 2 more months, give or take, until baby girl is born. So I am just kind of concerned with how the back pain feels now as opposed to how it's going to feel when she is, say, 5 pounds bigger and everything's just more uncomfortable. So my goals for this week, I really just have one goal, and it's to get packed and to move out, because this weekend I am going to be moving into the condo that my mom had purchased, and I am so excited. I am renting this condo from her, and it is just in a beautiful gated community, and I think it's just gonna be perfect. And I can't wait to have my own space again, just be independent, because as much as I love living with my mom, I am my own person. And you know, like when you live with your parents, they kind of like they're parenting you, and even though you're an adult, that still kind of happens. And it has been nice being here, but at the same time, I'm so ready to be in my own place and my own space with my children. And so that is like my biggest goal for this week. I don't really have anything else that I need to get done. So that is what I'm really focusing on for this week. For cravings, I am definitely craving pizza, and I don't know why, but cheese pizza is everything to me right now. I could eat it every single day of the week, and it's kind of something I've had to pace myself with because I have had it like 4 times this week. But I mean, hey, it's good. I really don't know what else to say. It's so amazing. It's been everything to me. And then I've also been craving meat, any kind of meat, all the meat I can get. I love meat right now. It's so good. And I don't know what else to say about it. I can't get enough meat right now. Chocolate, and I didn't even realize this until I had went to the grocery store and I was getting everything: chocolate ice cream, chocolate brownies, chocolate cake mix. Everything I am getting lately is chocolate, and I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. And I would say hand in hand with the chocolate, anything sweet is just so good to me right now. So I'm trying to be careful, but at the same time, I mean, I can't resist. I'm not gonna try to resist. And an update for you guys, like I mentioned earlier in this video when I mentioned having contractions, this is something that actually affected me pretty heavily over this past weekend. And this was kind of scary for me because I was experiencing contractions, and they started when I woke up, and they were getting more painful to the point where I would have to like stop what I was doing when I was getting these contractions and just kind of breathe through them or sit there. Like I couldn't be up walking around or doing anything with the kids because I just needed to sit there and breathe through it. I downloaded a contraction app. I was timing my contractions and like how long they were lasting, and it was worrisome to me. So I did end up going to the hospital, to the family maternity center, because when I had spoken with my OBGYN, I had mentioned how when I was pregnant with my son, I started going into preterm labor around like 26 weeks, I would say. And so I was constantly having to go into the hospital and get shots to help stop the contractions. At one point I got shots to develop my son's lungs. It was like some kind of steroid. I also had to get on like a daily medicine to take to stop the contractions. So it got pretty taxing throughout my pregnancy with my son and the like later half of it. So I was definitely concerned when this was happening and it wasn't stopping or slowing down. And so I did end up going to the hospital here. And first of all, the hospital is absolutely beautiful. I love it. I cannot wait to deliver baby girl there. It is so beautiful there. The nurses are also nice. They're so professional, and I just loved it there. So I'm super excited. It was definitely nicer than the hospital that I delivered at in Washington, and that is like what I thought was like the best, like the best of the best when I lived there. So I'm really excited for delivering this baby when it's time. But yeah, so I did go to the hospital and they did monitor me. They were seeing the contractions that I was having, and I was having like around like 7 per hour, I believe it was. And so the OBGYN on call decided to give me a shot. It's called like terbutaline, I think, or something like that, that makes your uterus stop contracting, because at my gestation, which I am just about 30 weeks now, but this early I shouldn't be contracting. Doctors do not like to see you contracting more than 6 times an hour, especially this early, because any kind of contraction is not really good at this point. Obviously, there's like Braxton Hicks and whatnot that your body should be having, but when it's constant, it's not anything that the doctors want to see. So they did run a test. It was called like a fetal fibronectin test. And then they also tested my urine for like a bladder infection that came back negative. The fetal fibronectin is some kind of test that detects a protein that your body secretes if you're going to be going into labor in the next 2 weeks. It's like a predictor kind of test. And so that came back negative as well, which was really reassuring. The OBGYN ended up giving me a shot. It makes you feel gross because it makes your heart start beating, like pumping as fast as possible. And like my heart rate is usually around like 80 or 85 beats per minute. Like throughout my pregnancy, that's normal. And this made my heart rate jump to over 100 beats per minute, and kind of makes you feel like jittery, and that is how it makes you feel for a bit, but it does stop the uterus from continuing to contract. I just had to stay and be monitored for a while. The baby's heartbeat also went up 20 additional beats per minute when I was given that, and the nurses said that was normal because baby responds to what my body is doing. And so yeah, everything calmed down, and then this day I actually felt super nauseous, and so I hadn't been able to really eat anything that day. I was just having all the contractions. Like I said, I really was not feeling well. So after I left the hospital, my kids and I went to go get some Chipotle, and in Chipotle I was eating the chips. Got the chips and queso because I love that. I have eaten that like a million times. It's amazing. I would say it's been a while. Like I don't really think I've had it throughout my pregnancy, but I have always loved the queso dip. It's so bomb to me. And so I dipped the chip in the queso and ate it. And then all of a sudden my stomach turned into this knot. I tried to like eat some more food and try to like ignore it and hope that it would just kind of like go away. But instead it got 20 times more intense, and I ended up having to run to the bathroom and throw up. And I know it sounds gross, but it was awful. It was a terrible experience. I was just in the hospital all day. I had to have this shot that made me feel crazy for a minute, and then just like not being able to control throwing up my food. It was just a very stressful, exhausting day, but I did get through it. After I threw up, I didn't eat any more of the queso, and I just, focused on eating the chicken bowl that I got, and that was fine. But it was rough. I'm just glad that the contractions stopped, and I have been doing pretty good since then. I still do get contractions every single day, and they are on the painful side, I would say. It feels like right when your period is about to start, that kind of like achy, my stomach just contracts. It gets like into this hard ball. And so it is really uncomfortable, but it hasn't been too consistent. Like I notice it, I would say I notice it up to like 7 times a day at this point, but not 7 times within an hour. So with that, I've just been trying to take it easy, drink a lot of water, relax, that kind of stuff, but it is getting kind of rough at this point. I also meant to update you guys. I met my new OBGYN finally, so I got my glucose test done. She also checked my thyroid because I've had to be on medicine to keep it regulated this pregnancy. Then they also tested me for sickle cell anemia and one other thing, I can't remember what it is, but because they had seen in my records that I had never had that done before, and I'm part African American, and she was saying how African Americans tend to get this, and I'm also Irish and British and West European. But there was one other test, it's like cystic fibrosis, I don't know, don't quote me on it, but something else that tends to be in white people, and they just check for it because if I'm a carrier and the dad's a carrier, then the baby could have this. So they just wanted to check to make sure. I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'm guessing that's pretty good news. No news is good news always, but after I drank that glucose stuff, it was crazy. I've never felt that way in my life. So I drank it, and then all of a sudden I got this like rush of energy, like as if I drank an energy drink. I got this rush of energy, and I was like giggly and just like laughing. I couldn't even take anything seriously really. And then after that, I just like crashed so hard. And in that, I mean, I just got this extremely bad headache. My energy level was depleted. I felt nauseous. I just felt terrible. And so I've never experienced that in my other 2 pregnancies, and I'm hoping that is not an indication that I have gestational diabetes, but like I said, I haven't gotten those results back yet. That was just really weird. I've never went through something like that, so it was pretty rough. I just thought it would be pretty simple. Like I didn't mind drinking it. It tastes like Sprite without the carbonation. It wasn't all that bad drinking it. It was just the aftermath that took me out. So along with that, I now have appointments every 2 weeks. This is so exciting. I didn't realize that at this point you start getting appointments every 2 weeks until you're like, I think 36 weeks, and then you go every single week. But I just can't believe it. I feel like this pregnancy has flown by, and to now think that I'm going in every single 2 weeks to see the doctor is just so exciting, and it just kind of makes it more real. It still feels surreal, even when you're pregnant and you feel the movements and everything. It's hard to imagine life being different, my baby actually being here. So it just is getting more real, and it just is crazy to me. Also, you guys, this heat has been killer here. I've never been in such heat, and I would say it's like a pretty dry heat as well. And I am just wiped out. The other day it was like 108 degrees, and like I said, I've never experienced this kind of heat, so it's a lot. Like I have been in the water so much, or just inside. Even just going in the car, it's so hot. I have a hard time being in the car, so it's kind of miserable at this point, but at the same time, the sunshine is beautiful, where I live is beautiful, so I'm not saying that I'm ungrateful. It's definitely an adjustment. Also, finally, I've gotten my children's daycare set up. This took so long, you guys, and finally it's set up. I'm so excited, and this way I'll be able to work, not have to deal with like finding a babysitter, deal with that whole care situation. So that is just a weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I'm just so glad that it's done. And I found a great school for them, and they really enjoy it. They didn't even want to leave when we toured the school. So I'm so excited for them, and I am just glad I have reliable means of childcare and can work, have everything in my life in order, as opposed to feeling like it's kind of chaotic and just moving and like literally uprooting myself, moving to like halfway across the country and just everything like that. It's been a lot. It feels good that things are finally starting to fall into place, and I just feel like I can start to relax, especially getting closer to having this baby. It has been stressful, kind of just like imagining every single thing I need to get done, but I have been taking baby steps, you know, every single day, doing something, doing what I can to get the things done that I need to. And so it's just feeling really good at this point. I'm still stressed and I'm exhausted and kind of nervous for the future, but I do feel confident and all the steps I've been taking and how everything is finally aligning. I also want to share with you guys some pictures that I got. I went and did a 4D ultrasound of baby girl, and this ultrasound, we didn't get the best pictures. We got a few good ones, which I'll show you guys, but baby girl was actually right up here. She was like right here up in my ribs. Her head was there. Her bottom was like down by my pelvis, and her feet were curled up like by her head. So she was like in the worst position possible for these pictures. Like I said, we did get some good ones, so I want to show you guys that. But it was just amazing seeing her, and she's so cute. I'm so excited to meet her, but she's absolutely precious. So I'm gonna get those pictures to show you guys. Baby's gestational age was 31 weeks and 6 days. That's incorrect. I remember even telling the ultrasound lady, I was like, no, that's definitely not correct, because I believe I was just 29 weeks when I got this done, or like almost 29 weeks. It was off, but she said it didn't really matter. So, but you may see that on the picture. So anyways, here is baby girl. And oh, also what the lady had said was that baby girl's umbilical cord was like up by her head too, so it was just really hard to get a good picture. But here she is. Here's her lips and her nose and her eyes. It looks like she has long eyelashes. It's really sweet. Hopefully I can get this to focus better. Here's another one. It's kind of like the side of her face, her eye, her nose, her lips. Kind of hard to see her face. I mean, you can see her eyes are there, but her little hand, she was like putting her hands up like this. Again, her hands are like here now. Her eyes, her nose, her mouth. She's just sleeping so peacefully. Pretty good one. There's her hands there. Her little face. Looks like she has long eyelashes. She's so peaceful. This one is a really good one too. Her sweet little face. And her hands. She's just so sweet. I can't wait to see her and hold her. Meet this sweet princess. There's another one with her hands up. She's just sleeping peacefully. So that was really a wonderful experience with my other pregnancies. I never got that done with my other children, so it was really cool, like just a new experience to see and just experience that. I may go back again at some point before my pregnancy ends. Yeah, we'll see. Sorry, the lighting changed too. Oh, and so I know that I mentioned in my last video, I kind of mentioned a little bit about my labors with both my son and my daughter. They were really simple labors and easy, but something that I have been wanting to talk about is the afterbirth healing process and whatnot, and that is definitely what is hardest for me and what I'm the most scared for, because even though my labors, they're easy, like I go in dilated, I can get the epidural whenever I want to. For my past 2 pregnancies, they have broken my waters, but I believe it was my daughter, my amniotic fluid was leaking, and so they had to just like break it completely. They had to admit me and then break my water, which is the weirdest feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. So with my son, I also had to have that done because I was dilating. Before I was in active labor with my son, I was dilated to a 5. Once you're 6 centimeters dilated, you're considered in active labor. And so I was already 5 centimeters when I wasn't in labor. So when I did get into labor, they ended up breaking my water just to kind of carry things along and whatnot. But my son's labor was like, I think I was in active labor for an hour, and I only pushed 1 time with him. So the births have been very simple for me. I've never ran into any complications, and I'm praying that that is the same case for this baby girl. So contractions for me before having my water broken, yes, they're uncomfortable, but it's not a pain that is unbearable. And so I would say contractions once your water has broken, at least for me, once my water has broken, it is intense. And that doesn't mean I'm like screaming. Like I don't scream, I'm not loud, I don't like grunt and do like all those noises, but it is intense once your water is broken and you start feeling those contractions. It feels like all 9 to 10 months of pregnancy that you missed your period, all of those cramps, all those months worth of cramps built up at once. And that is what you're feeling in that moment. Every couple of minutes, you're feeling these sharp contractions that feel like the period cramps from all those months you missed periods for. So it is intense. Like I said, I do tend to get the epidural. I get the epidural like as soon as I can after my water is broken, just because I know how intense it gets and how quickly it gets intense. But I haven't even like felt the epidural when I've gotten it. I know like before I had my daughter, I was scared of what the epidural was going to be like. But honestly, when you're having those contractions, there is nothing that could be more painful or that could be more excruciating or scary or anything else than what you're experiencing. So the epidural has not hurt for me at all. The thing that has been hard when I've gotten an epidural is actually having to sit. You have to sit like kind of curled over your stomach, and like, just so like you have a good shape in your spine. Your spine is kind of like poking out a little bit. So you have to like kind of like circulate and crunch over your belly. And the roughest part is you start getting a contraction when you're like this and you can't move. You're not supposed to move at all. And so then you're having to breathe through it. And that is not a good position to be in when you're having a contraction. It's very painful. There, different positions help differently, but being curled over like that and not being able to move is hard and it's rough. I've never felt the needle go into my back. I've never felt the pain. I don't know what kind of pain that is because it's honestly nothing in comparison to the cramps, contraction cramps, whatever you want to call it, when you're in labor. But aside from that, once I get the epidural, I'm good to go, just relaxing, just hanging out until it's time to push. And so I've never had to like have laughing gas or pain medicine or anything else like that during the birthing stages. I've always been fine. I go in, I get the epidural when I need it. But then after I give birth, that is the worst. It is the worst pain that I have ever experienced. And this is for multiple reasons. One, your body continues to contract. And I would say that the contractions, instead of like having the epidural and everything, that obviously wears off, but you keep having these contractions for, I would say, so for the first like 5 days to a week, you're gonna keep having these contractions that feel like the contractions from when your water was broken. So very painful, sharp, intense cramping that is, your uterus contracting and shrinking down. On top of that, when you're in the hospital, the nurses push down on your stomach, which is very sensitive. Obviously, you just gave birth and it's just sensitive, okay? So they push down on your stomach and uterus so hard that it would like make tears come out of my eyes. Not that I'm like crying, but it would just, the physical pain of it is so painful that you just have like tears streaming down your face. And this is like, if you can imagine them pushing literally as hard as they can and kneading your stomach, like kneading into your stomach, pushing down and clenching down on your stomach with pretty much all of their force in order to get your uterus to shrink back to size. This also killer. This is while you're in the hospital that they do this every single, 15, 20 minutes. It's very frequently that they push on your stomach and it hurts so bad. Next, when you're breastfeeding your baby, when your milk comes in, or like as your milk is producing because the baby is stimulating the milk to come in, you then have extremely severe contractions because the oxytocin that your body is producing to make the milk come in also makes your uterus contract and shrink down. These are literally insane contractions. They hurt so bad. It's like when I gave birth to my son, I would be literally crying and just like having a hard time sitting there even feeding him because my stomach is contracting extremely hard and painfully. And also another thing is after each baby you have, the afterbirth gets more painful. And I'm not exactly sure why. This is what I was told with my son. My OBGYN told me this. And because with my daughter, I would even say that recovery was nothing in comparison to with my son. I didn't have all this intense pain and cramping and contractions and everything after my first child, but apparently after each baby it gets worse because it's harder for your body to heal itself, and just, I don't know, it's just worse with each child. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like after this baby. I'm hoping it's nothing too bad, but I know what is to come, and it's rough. It's really, really rough. It's part of having a baby. So I'm a little bit nervous for what is to come after the birth, but I know every second will be worth it, and I just hope that I have a speedy recovery and whatnot. I do feel confident in giving birth. It's just afterwards that it gets rough, and then it's like you start throwing in sleep deprivation and having other kids to take care of, you know, like not being able to rest as much as you need to throughout the day. And you throw in all these other factors, and then it starts getting very draining and exhausting and hard to manage, I would say. So I just want to make sure I don't get to that place. I know going into a postpartum depression is also another thing that can happen and is scary and really is a bad thing to go through, especially when you have so much responsibility and whatnot. So I'm just hoping for the best, but I am starting to think about all the different aspects that play into giving birth and just trying to get prepared for that, so I'm not blindsided by it when it does happen. But yeah, so I think I've been talking forever, you guys. I just wanted to get this update out there. Sorry I haven't gotten a video up sooner. I just feel like with filming every 2 weeks as opposed to every single week, it has been better because I've had more to talk about, and I feel like a lot more happens every 2 weeks as opposed to every single week. So I'm not 100% sure if I will continue to keep it like that the rest of my pregnancy or how it will really turn out. I'm sure if I want to update you guys on stuff, then I will update you guys as it comes. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to show you guys my 28 and 29 week bump now, and then we are going to call it a video. Here's the bump from the front and the side. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Also, I want to say a huge thanks to my now 100 subscribers. You guys are amazing. You're so sweet. I love the support. I love that you guys are interested in following me along on my pregnancy journey, and I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you so much for 100 subscribers. And if you are new here, or if you're returning to my channel but you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, and I will just see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.